Dear all, welcome to Civil Services with ZAKI. Today we are going to discuss about what is the global pattern of surface trends, and as you know it is related to the major geographical concept series. And if you are new, then you must subscribe our channel for the latest video on geography, ecology, environment and science and tech, because these subjects are very significant for the civil services examination, whether it is PT or mains. So let's see what are the today's topic related to this subject. And so see, first, what is the global pattern of the surface currents? What are the Indian Ocean currents? What are the Western Pacific Ocean current? What are the Northern Pacific Ocean current? What are the Southern Pacific Ocean current? And what are the Northern Atlantic Ocean current? And what are the Southern Atlantic Ocean current? And what are the Arctic Ocean current? And what are the Southern Ocean current? So in this video we discuss all currents across the globe. So this is very significant, as you know, whether it is UPSC examination, state PCS and all other examinations, ocean currents are very significant. And every year, whether it is PT or mains, ocean current and related questions basically several times asked by the UPSC, state PCS and other competitive examinations. So that's why if you are new, then you must subscribe our channel and tell your friends and share this video. So stay with us till the end of this video for these topics. So let's start. What is the global pattern of the surface current? So see here, basically the major ocean current have profound implications on the climate, weather, ecology and the lives of the inhabitants. So as you know, we are all influenced by these ocean current, and our climate, our weather system also greatly influenced by these ocean current. That's why we need to study these ocean current across the globe. So first we start with the Indian Ocean. See this map. So this global figure. So see here, it is a summary of the maps and which depict the gyres, and basically these gyres are the two Atlantic, number one Pacific, number two Pacific, one in Northern Atlantic and another is Southern Atlantic. So these gyres and one in Indian Ocean. So if you see the across the globe, these gyres, basically 5 large gyres are present. So let's see these gyres are basically the made by the several local trends and global pattern. So see these gyres step by step and oceans by ocean. So first we start with the Indian Ocean, then we go to the Pacific Ocean, and then Atlantic Ocean, and then Arctic Ocean, and then Southern Ocean. So we here discuss about all these 5 oceans. So stay with us for this interesting journey about these currents. So see here, first we start with the Indian Ocean. So as you know, the Indian Ocean is dominated by a flow around the southern subtropical gyres. So see, these are the southern subtropical gyres in Indian Ocean. So the south, so if you see the south flowing Mozambique current, these are Mozambique current. East of the Africa, cool north flowing Western Australian. So these finally go to this area, and these Western Australian, cool Western Australian current, and have a west flowing segment of the gyre along the equator complete the loop. So after that, west flowing gyre of these complete the gyres. So the equator. So south of the 40 degree, so if you go to the south of the 40 degree, water becomes inwind with the Antarctic circumpolar current. So these are the Antarctic circumpolar current. So water in. So these are, so as you know, our Indian Ocean lies mainly in the southern hemisphere. So more parts of the Indian Oceans are present in the southern hemisphere. So these are the southern, these are the basic complete gyres. So in Indian Oceans, the major currents present in the Mozambique currents, Western Australian current, Antarctic circumpolar currents, and South Indian current. So these are called South Indian. South means South Indian Ocean current. So let's we move forward and see the Western Pacific Ocean. So Western Pacific, as you know, the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean on the earth and also largest basin on the globe. So see here, basically the largest ocean basin on earth, as you know, the Pacific basin display many characteristics, contain two gyres, one in the northern hemisphere, this gyre, and another is the southern hemisphere. So see these one by one, step by step. So in Western Pacific Ocean, so first we see the northwestern Pacific. So these are the northwestern Pacific, northwestern Pacific. So water enter Western Pacific driven by the westward flow on the either side of the equator. So these north equatorial current and approaches to the Philippines. So see here, this is Philippines, and they approaches to the Philippines, then Asia, and they turn north. So here near Philippines, they turn north and go to the Asia, Japan, and etc. And finally, they carrying the warm water from the Japan in the name of the Kuroshima current. So these are called Kuroshima current. About 40 degrees. So if you go to the about 40 degree, at 40 degree north, this flow then turn at the North Pacific current. So these North Pacific currents. North Pacific current. So this is the basically northwestern Pacific. So these current, North Pacific current, Kuroshima current, are the warm current basically. So in this western basically Pacific, you find Kuroshima current, North Pacific current, North Equatorial current. Another we see the in Western Pacific also Southwestern Pacific. So Southwestern Pacific, south of the equator, basically west flowing current turns south down east coast of the Australia as the East Australian current. So see East Australian current, basically these East Australian current are warm current. Finally, they, as you know, the South Equatorial current here turn due to the continent like the Australia and move eastward, and so East Australian current. Further south, so they go further south, New Zealand, and they enmeshed with the strong west wind drift. So this is called west wind drift, strong west wind drift, and finally go towards the South America. And basically, so see another in the northern Pacific. So in northern Pacific, the northern subtropical gyres, so these subtropical gyres also produce cold current, the Californian current. So these gyre, basically giant gyre, also produce this type of the cold Californian current that flow southwards down to the coast of North America. So these current flow southward, north to this here from California. So etc. So a portion of the east moving mid latitude water turn its approaches to the northwestern North America, turning northward along the east coast of North British Columbia and the Alaska. It is Alaskan current. So finally, these some mid latitude warm current move towards the Alaska, and it is called Alaskan current. And basically Alaskan current bringing somewhat warmer water to these mostly northern latitudes. So as they move west, Alaska current ultimately mixes with the cold waters of the Bering current along the Aleutians Island and Kamchatka Peninsula of the Siberia. So these areas, Siberia and Alaska, and finally they mix with these, bring with the Bering current. So Bering Ocean currents basically in the Kamchatka Peninsula in the Siberia. Kamchatka Peninsula in the Siberia. So in these area, basically the northern Pacific region, and if you see the California current is the major current, Alaska current, warm current, California current, cold current, and Bering current is the cold current. So these are the basically in the northern Pacific Ocean. So we move towards about the southern Pacific Ocean. As you know, southern Pacific Ocean possesses one of the largest gyre on the earth. So the cold west wind drift. So see, these cold west wind drift following east from Australia turn north along the west coast of the South America during this long track. So this is long track, very long track. So across the southern Pacific, the water turned cold and formed very pronounced cold current called Humboldt current. So this is from Humboldt current, and as you know, Humboldt current is also known as the Peru or Chile current. So these current also called Chile current, Peru current, Humboldt current. So as Humboldt current approaches toward the equator, it turns back to the west towards the Australia and complete the circuit. So they go to the north and finally at the equator they turn west and finally go to the Australia, and basically after turning the Humboldt current in this equatorial region, it is called South Equatorial current. So in the southern Pacific Ocean, the major current are South Equatorial current, Humboldt current, and finally west wind drift. So these are the major current of this area, basically the southern Pacific Ocean. And now we move forward and see the northern Pacific Ocean is northern Atlantic Ocean. So northern Atlantic Ocean, one of the north of the equator content North Atlantic Ocean, and as you know, as a part between the America and Europe. So these mid Atlantic region are basically the part of the northern America and the most part of the Africa. But when the central Atlantic subtropical gyres induced the northerly Gulf Stream and North Atlantic, so north of the America and Europe, and if you see the north of the America, so very narrow point, so this also Europe and America. So North Atlantic, basically this is North Atlantic. Within the central Atlantic, it is a subtropical gyres. These are the subtropical gyres, and that includes northwardly following Gulf Stream, North Atlantic drift. So this Gulf Stream, North Atlantic drift, which brings warmth and moist to the northwestern Europe. So these North Atlantic drift provide warm water to these area, basically these Western Europe, and due to these current, the weather of these area are very pleasant, like the UK and other parts of the Western Europe, and not so harsh like this area. So this is a very significant current, basically for the weather point of view in the Europe. So from Europe, cooler Canary current. So from the Europe also cooler Canary currents flow towards along the coast of the North Africa. So in the North Atlantic Ocean, major currents are basically the Gulf Stream, Canary currents, and North Atlantic currents. So North Atlantic drift are basically warm, Gulf Stream warm, Canary are the cold current. So these are the North Atlantic Ocean current. So now we move forward and see the South Atlantic Ocean current. So see here the part of the the part of the Atlantic Ocean south of the equator are called basically South Atlantic. Within this region, the southern hemisphere gyre, so these southern hemisphere gyre, basically these gyres, which includes the Benguela currents, Benguela currents from which flow north along the western coast of the South Africa. Western coast of the South Africa. After flowing west, gyre turned along the eastern coast of the South Africa, becoming the Brazilian country. So finally, they turned here and form Brazilian current. To the south, this current deflected to the east by the interaction with the Antarctic circumpolar current. So these Antarctic circumpolar currents. So the major current in the southern Atlantic oceans are the Brazilian current, Benguela current, and the Antarctic circumpolar current. Now we move the Arctic Ocean. So Arctic Ocean, basically, as you know, Arctic Ocean, unlike its southern equivalent, the northern polar region, basically north of the 80° north, occupied entirely by the ocean. So these area, basically the polar region, occupied entirely by the ocean. So the major outlets include the Pacific basins, means the Bering currents, and the Atlantic via Labrador and Greenland currents. So these Bering current from the Pacific basin, and these area from Bering current, and these Greenland current, Labrador current are basically associated with the Atlantic Ocean. So basically a major flow of warm ocean water into the Arctic Ocean is accomplished by the North Atlantic drift. So the major warm current are these North Atlantic drift along the coast of the northwestern Europe. So the basically Arctic Sea, basically the major current in the Arctic Sea are the Bering currents, Greenland currents, and the Labrador current. So also North Atlantic drift somewhat in the Western Europe and etc. So these are the ocean current in the Arctic Ocean. Now we move forward and see the Southern Ocean, and as you know, the Southern Ocean, and basically if you see the Southern Ocean dominated by the continent, so ocean water surrounding the Antarctica regarded as the Southern Ocean. So these oceans surrounded by Antarctica are regarded as the Southern Ocean. So the entire polar zone occupied by the continental Antarctica. So if you see the entire polar zone occupied by the continent called Antarctica. Ocean continent contrast here are parallel to the latitude. So if you see these contrast are parallel. So a strong pressure gradient and relative lack of the interruptions include the extremely strong westerly wind at these latitudes. So if you see these area lack of land, and these area basically dominated by land. So these pressure gradient and basically the high pressure gradient produce a very strong westerly wind, which is known by the sailor at the roaring 40s and screaming 60s. So roaring 40s or screaming 60s circling around the Antarctica strong. So these area. So these areas circled by Antarctic circumpolar current. So these area, if you see a strong west wind drift, so it is called Antarctic circumpolar current or west wind drift. So it is also, so west wind drift also called as the Antarctic circumpolar current. So if you find west wind drift or Antarctic circumpolar polar current are the same things. So these all about the Southern Ocean and the ocean current. So now we see all ocean current across the globe. So I hope you understand these ocean current by easily. And if you have any question regarding the oceanography or geomorphology or climatology or even in geography or ecology environment, then you write in the comment box. We will provide a specific video on that topic. So, but don't forget to subscribe this channel and share with your friends and colleagues and also in groups. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks.